Welcome to the Moved to Meditate podcast. I'm your host, Addie D. Hilster. This is a place for vibrant discussions about mindfulness, movement practices, and ways to find more balance and presence in daily life. Here you'll find resources to help you progress on your path, as well as insightful conversations with mindful movement, yoga, meditation, and Dharma teachers from a range of traditions. On this podcast, we spotlight embodied approaches to mindfulness and the more contemplative aspects of movement practice. Listen in and connect to a community of like-minded practitioners. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in today. This podcast episode is going to be a guided meditation on patience. A few weeks ago, I also posted a breath meditation, which was the first time the podcast episode had been a short practice rather than an interview or a talk like I usually do. And that seemed to be well received, so I thought I would follow up with another meditation today. If you've heard this intro before, or you just want to skip it and go to the meditation, you can jump ahead about 2 to 3 minutes. I'm not exactly sure how far. It depends on how long I talk right now, but you can get right to the meditation. Otherwise, you can hang out for a moment, and I'll tell you why patience is on my mind. I just got back from my retreat a few days ago. If you were listening to the previous meditation, you know I was about to go on a 7-day meditation retreat. And patience feels like a great theme for this moment for me. Transitioning from the quiet and the slow pace of a retreat back into regular life is challenging. It can feel kind of abrupt. It's a really different energy. And it's a combination of, for me, of like wanting to stay grounded and in touch with that deep practice as I come out, but also like wanting to get back into all of my projects that I'm really enthusiastic about, or all the things that I have planned, and just kind of feeling myself speed back up and slow back down and speed back up and go back and forth like that. And even just doing some of my behind the scenes techie work in the last few days has required extra patience, because things have been like a little extra glitchy and not cooperating exactly as I seem to always expect. And also, during the retreat, I came down with a stomach bug that definitely required me to call up my equanimity and patience reserves. This was my first away-from-home meditation retreat since 2019, and retreats are an important part of my practice. It's something I really value and enjoy and make a point of including in my life. So I was really excited to go meditate in this quiet little lake house for a week. It was all going to be perfect until this stomach bug showed up. But that's just kind of how it goes, right? Life seems to be very mischievous sometimes. Despite everything and not feeling so great, it was a wonderful retreat. I was still able to practice. There were definitely extra naps, but I was still able to really do the practice and benefit and participate in the structure of the retreat with all that my teacher was offering. And it was incredibly valuable. I still had moments, though, where I would start to feel a little bit better and then get really impatient to have my energy back and be all the way there. And it was a really interesting process to watch my mind trying to negotiate with my experience, sometimes like resisting how things were, trying to get in the driver's seat and get in control. And then other times being less in resistance and less struggle when more patience was available. And being on retreat, I was really able to pay attention to that. Patience is something we can cultivate and call in for just those moments where something isn't going according to our beautiful plans and expectations, or what we want isn't happening on our desired timeline. To be patient means we struggle less with how things are. We can work with things just as they are. So I hope this meditation will be a helpful tool for you, especially in times when patience is needed, which is a lot, right? If this is something you want to work on more, I did a deeper dive episode about a year and a half ago, which I can't believe it's been that long, but that one was on patience and persistence. It was an early one, episode 17. It talks a lot about the balance of being patient and taking persistent actions, because patience is often confused with passivity, which is not really what it is. So check that out if you want a little more context on how to practice patience in a balanced way that will fit right in with this meditation. So here we are. I am feeling better, and it's great to be back with you on the podcast this week. I'm looking forward to sharing an interview episode with you next week, which I'm going to be recording with someone later today. And I think it's going to be a really fun conversation. So come back for that one in about a week. And until then, enjoy this practice. Hi, this is Addie D. Hilster, and this will be a mindful meditation exploring patience. So find a posture that will support you for the next 10 minutes or so. Can be seated in a chair, could be seated on the floor if that's comfortable, and it could also be lying down. And as you settle in, feel the parts of the body that are touching the solid support of ground or chair or cushion. And let your weight drop into gravity. Feel yourself here. Relaxing the shoulders, the jaw, the eyes. Softening anywhere you can that you notice unnecessary tension. And then starting to let yourself notice the breath. The breath is already happening. Can you feel that it's flowing in and out? And it doesn't need to be any particular kind of breath, any particular depth or shape. This breath is giving you life, however it's showing up right now. And can you let your attention relax into this connection with the breath? Noticing how the breath flows in and it creates a sense of swell and expansion and growth. And then at the top of the inhale, the breath kind of crests and it becomes an exhale. A sense of flowing outward, or maybe the body kind of falling back in towards the center. Taking a few cycles of breath to experience this in just the way that it's showing up in your body today. And to pay attention to something so simple actually requires a lot of patience. So our meditation practice itself cultivates this quality and capacity, this wisdom capacity of patience. And we can practice this even a little more clearly by following the exhale all the way to the end. See if you can let your mind stay with the out breath all the way to the end, where it sort of tapers out, becomes wispy. There might even be a little still point pause at the end. And then just allowing the next in-breath to come in on its own. Can you let the in-breath take care of itself, letting it emerge out of that stillness at the end of the exhale? So following the out-breath, feeling into it as it flows out, being patient and watching and waiting as it tapers off. Maybe there's a pause. Maybe there's a moment of waiting and watching. And then we feel that next inhale flow in. The cycle continues. And if this feels a little edgy, to let the breath breathe itself in this way and to wait for the next inhale to come in without making it happen, that's pretty normal. Can you be patient with yourself? Being willing to try again on the next breath. Just step back and watch the out-breath flow. So not really do anything, but observe. And trust that the next moment, the breath will take care of itself. This cultivates patience. We can start to see what patience feels like on this visceral level, and what our resistance to patience feels like on this visceral level. Now, if you found you've gotten a little bit lost in the silence or a little bit tangled up in the breath, then see if you can practice patience in this way. Of feeling into the body where there might be tension, where there might be gripping, maybe the eyes, maybe the hands or the shoulders or the diaphragm or the jaw. Anywhere that you feel that, see if you can just invite it to soften. It may not happen all at once, but we can give that permission. Being patient in the body, being patient with ourselves as we explore this wisdom quality. This way of being steady with time, non-reactive about time. Patience isn't apathy. It doesn't mean that we give up, or we don't care. It just means letting go of the timelines, letting go of some control. Being present with what is, with non-reactivity. And we can experience that in this very simple, direct way through the breath. Following the exhales all the way to the end. Allowing for that tapering, that pause, that space. Present as the next moment, the next in-breath emerges. And then softening towards ourselves with patience when we get lost, when we get stuck, when we need to start again. Thank you very much for your presence and your practice. So that's today's episode. If you enjoyed this conversation, please share it with a friend, subscribe on YouTube, or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and help others find it that way. To learn more about my work, the Moved to Meditate class library, courses, or teacher trainings, go to movedtomeditate.yoga. This is Addie D. Hilster. Thanks so much for listening.